Good morning, everybody. We crossed a very important, or rather, we got to a very important milestone, but I'm not going to talk about that today. I'm rather going to talk about the interconnections between the Igbo language, the language that many people will describe as one of the languages of Nigeria, in fact, one of the most important languages of Nigeria. I'm going to talk about its interconnections with several other languages, which include Hebrew, Akkadian, Ugaritic, and even Arabic. These languages that I listed share a lot with the Igbo language, principally the first three, and then to some extent the last, which is Arabic. I'm going to buttress my point with a few examples. The person you are looking at, Nze Remi Ilona, was born in Igbo land. I grew up speaking the language. In fact, it's my first language. The part of my Hebrew Republic that I was born in was called Uru. The progenitor of the Hebrew people, Abraham, was also raised in a place called Uru. In English translations of the Bible, you would find Uru. But try to pronounce it, you would get at Uru. Uru in the languages that Abraham grew up knowing, Akkadian and Ugaritic, mean exactly what Uru means in the Igbo language. Uru means location. In my Hebrew Republic, there are Urus everywhere. It means location. I have talked to my friends who know modern Hebrew. They understand it to mean city. Ur of the Chassidim, that was where Abraham was born. They understand it to mean city of the Chassidim or the Chaldeans. You can relate that to location or place. They all mean the same thing. And what they mean, I reiterate, what they mean in Igbo is what they mean on Ugaritic and Akkadian. And these were the two languages that discipline studies are revealing to us as the languages that were spoken in that location as at the time that Abraham, the first Hebrew, came into the world and was raised. This aside, from experience, if you can find 30 words of Igbo or from the Igbo language, 30 words from the Hebrew language, and begin to systematically compare them, you would find that at least 20 of those words would have the same meanings, the same spellings. By the way, a Yoruba girl, for her master's work at the University of Ibadan, systematically compared the Igbo and the Hebrew languages. And her supervisors at the University of Ibadan, Nigeria's first university, a Yoruba university, expert linguists, they pronounced that her work proved definitively that the Igbo language and the Hebrew language are genetically related. This is very important for some friends of ours who think that I say that the great Yoruba people are not Israelites. This is very important information to them. The student or the scholar who did this work was Yoruba. She did not compare the Yoruba and the Hebrew languages. She compared the Igbo and the Hebrew languages, and the finding is that both languages are genetically related. I took this up with a very important scholar when I lived in Abuja. I said, explain to me what they are genetically related means. He explained that it means that you can call both of them sister languages. Not necessarily that Igbo came from Hebrew or that Hebrew came from Igbo, modern Hebrew by the way, but that both of them came out of one language, which we may call, for convenience sake, let us call it ancient Hebrew. By the way, Hebrew is the language Hebrew, or rather the word Hebrew is an English term. I'll go further now to talk about a few of those words that mean the same thing. One of our sisters is doing amazing work. She has this diligence to track and find words of both languages that are the same. She shocked me last week when she came up with Ole. Ole means the same thing in Hebrew and the Igbo. O-L-E. Like if you want to know the price of a commodity, the term the Igbos would use happens to be the term Jews would use. Before I could get over the shock, she came up again with Kara. Kara could mean to tell, to cry. She showed us convincing evidence that it means the same thing in Hebrew. And by the way, I said that there is some basis also to include Arabic, though to a lesser extent, in this discussion. I will explain why it is to a lesser extent. The Hebrew word, the Igbo word, I'll start from the Igbo now, for people, or for children rather, is Umu. Arabic speakers, I'm sure, or people that follow Arabic, I'm sure you've heard about Muslim Ummah. That Umu and that Ummah are one word. Modern Hebrews calls it Am. But I can bet that in ancient times, the word used must have been Umu. I will explain why Arabic would only come in, but not at the level that Hebrew would come in, and certainly not at the level that Ugaritic and Akkadian would come in. Your language tells us how you see the world. The peoples that became part of the Arab peoples developed a totally different culture a different culture and religion from the people that we know as the Hebrews. The Arabs are not an egalitarian people the way the Igbos are, and the way the ancient Israelites are. And language, what your language does is tell us how you see the world. So since they developed a set of traditions that are not egalitarian, that will reflect in their language, but there are also bound to be a lot of commonalities. I'm saying all this because we are essentially setting our history right. We are essentially straightening out Igbo history. The Igbo language is a Semitic language. I will appeal to my good friend who posted something that talked about Semitic languages. Include Igbo there. If you don't include Igbo there, you are doing as well as talking about the Semitic peoples without mentioning the group that retains the purest versions of the Semitic culture. The writers of the book of Genesis told us what happened in the life of Abraham and his family. There was a statement that they made there that only the Igbos will understand fully today. They said, the writer said that Haran died in the face of the father. Only the Igbos in the world today could tell you exactly what that statement means. That family was Semitic. They meant that Haran died while the father was alive, so he lost the rights of the firstborn. And the firstborn in Semitic, Hebrew, Israelite culture, Igbo culture, is like the prince, the heir apparent to the king. On this note, I wish you a very beautiful week. Stay blessed. Support our channel. Buy our books. If thou readest the Hebrew Igbo republics, thou would not be able to drop the Hebrew Bible again, because in this book, you would find Ruth, Naomi, Elimelech, Mahlon, Shilon, Boaz, and the elders of Bethlehem, and the women of Bethlehem standing up and talking. Shalom, Dalo, thank you.